Have you ever wondered why some types grabs your attention and others doesn't? Well, that is typography. It is the hidden art that shapes everything from your phone screen to that of a movie poster or a billboard. In today's video, I'm going to talk to you about the origin of typography and how it was modernized in today's world. Alright, let's get right into it. Type has only existed for about 550 years, but its beginnings are rooted in the life of the caveman himself, as it was his developing needs and habits that led civilization on a path toward the evolution of the alphabet and subsequently the invention of type and printing. It is certainly possible to learn to use type effectively and even tastefully without knowing about its roots, but to fully understand and appreciate type today, it is important to know something of the past. The earliest attempts to record stories and ideas were through cave drawings. The first known is dated around 25,000 BC. These drawings or pictographs were very simple representations of people, places, and things, and for this reason, they were relatively easy to learn and understand. Although this was a very simple form of written communication, it was certainly more permanent than sound, and much of it has survived the ravages of time and still exists today. Around 3000 BC, the Sumerians developed cuneiforms, a written system that consisted of wedge-shaped forms carved into clay tablets and other hard surfaces. Cuneiforms evolved from the pictographs that the Sumerians had adapted earlier and were one of the first writing systems to read left to right. Its wedge-shaped forms were the result of the increasing use of a stylus, a written tool whose straight edges and triangular corners produced these geometric forms. As time passed, there was a need for more symbols to represent ideas and other concepts in addition to just things. This led to the development of ideograms, or symbols representing ideas and actions. This new expanded system was more difficult for the masses to understand, as it was not purely representational but more symbolic in nature. This separated society into two groups: those who could understand the system and those who could not. The spoken and written language had become very different from each other, requiring the learning of two unrelated systems of communication. As society became more complex, the existing system did not meet its increasing needs and was no longer satisfactory. Something more was needed. This need subsequently led to the development of letter symbols that, when put together, represent words. The Phoenicians, a society of traders and skilled craftsmen on the eastern coast of the Mediterranean, took written language a giant step ahead from the pictograms and ideograms. Around 1000 BC, the Phoenicians developed 22 symbols that corresponded to the 22 key sounds of their language. The idea was to connect 22 symbols representing written sounds to imitate the spoken words, eliminating memorization of hundreds of unrelated symbols. This unique concept was the first attempt to connect the written language with the spoken word, we now call the phonetics. Around 800 BC, the Greeks embraced the Phoenician invention and took it one step further by adding vowels and naming the symbols. They also employed boisteropheding, a system in which one reads from left to right on one line and right to left on the next. Much later, the Romans, a highly developed society, made further changes by adding more letters, bringing this writing system even closer to our modern-day alphabet. They made other advances as well. The Roman scribes, in their attempt to write more quickly and efficiently, began joining and slanting the letters in harmony with the natural motion of the hand. They also added ascenders and descenders, as well as condensed forms of the alphabet to conserve space. One of the most important contributions to the early writings by the Romans was Trajan's colon, dated 114 AD. It showcases one of the most beautiful and best-known examples of Roman letter forms. The lettering, which is incised at the base of the colon, is a classical, elegant, and exquisitely balanced combination of form, proportion, and simplicity. It has been and continues to be a powerful inspiration to type designers throughout the world. Until the 15th century, all books were hand-copied by scribes, as exemplified by the many breathtakingly beautiful and exquisitely written and illustrated manuscripts that were created for religious purposes in monasteries. In 1448, that all changed with the birthing of printing, after which the world would never be quite the same. Johannes Gutenberg, a goldsmith from Mainz, Germany, is credited with the invention of movable type. Gutenberg accomplished this by carving the characters of the alphabet in relief onto metal punches, which were then driven into other pieces of metal called matrices. Gutenberg's first typeface was in the style of the heavy black letter popular in Germany at the time, and it contained over 300 characters, including ligatures and abbreviations. As the popularity of printing became more widespread, a variety of different type styles emerged based on popular handwriting styles of that time, including those favored by Italian humanist scholars. Nicolas Jensen and Aldous Manutius were two printers of the time who designed type styles that were influential and inspirational, even to this day. Gutenberg then went on to print the Bible, the first book printed from movable type. This invention truly changed the world, as it was no longer necessary for scribes to spend months and years. This historical milestone, which now enabled history, news, religious writings, and other kinds of information to be circulated more easily and freely, brought forth many other changes, such as improvements in printing press, papers, and inks. It also inspired many others to design typefaces to make use of this transformational invention. Type designers were extremely influential in shaping the printed word over the centuries. The 16th century brought us the beautiful proportions of the work of Claude Garamond and Robert Grandin. In the next 100 years, the balanced designs and readable type styles of William Caslon emerged. Giambattista Bodoni and Femme Didot were tremendously influential in the 18th century with the elegant and graceful designs. The 19th century gave way to the old-style characteristics of William Morris' work, and the 20th century brought us many designs inspired by the geometric Bauhaus style. Many thousands of typeface styles available to us today are in large parts due to the originality, artistry, and craftsmanship of 5 centuries of talented printers and designers, only a handful of which are highlighted here. Type is all around us, in everything we read, from books, magazines, posters, billboards, complimentary cars, bread packaging in the grocery store, television commercials, greeting cards to storefront signs. Learning to read and write the alphabet is one of the first things we are taught in school, and that process often begins before nursery school with television shows and videos intended for the hungry and curious minds of 2- and 3-year-olds. Type and printed matter communicate not only information to us, but also influence decisions we make on a daily basis. Whether we realize it or not, type and the way it appears affects which book cover catches our eye and which movie might be the scariest or the most romantic. Much of this process goes on unconsciously, which is why the art and craft of typography is so invincible to the average person. But its unseen nature by no means diminishes the importance and influence type has on the quality and substance of our daily lives. Alright, now that we know the origin of typography, in my subsequent videos, I'm going to talk to you about the classification of typography, the anatomy of typography, and the psychology behind typography. If you found this video useful, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's also a way of showing support to this channel. I'll see you soon in my next video.